Now, he was alive as one of these unbreakable people. They was talking on the story of certain black people.
Okay.
Is that like in the Chronicles of Riddick? Those dead, the guys that are alive, they're dead? Necromancy, something like that?
It could be something like that, yeah. I got to go back and watch the movie again to see the concept and all. Yeah, so that's what that is. And more than likely, if you flatline and all this kind of thing here, and stuff, basically, you died. You see what I'm saying? And then when you came back, your soul basically started running. See, most people's souls is dormant, it's sleeping. That's what the sleeping Buddha is about.
Right.
Most people's souls are dormant. Conscious people means that your soul has started to wake up. And your soul, when it's trying to learn about itself.
It's like a mummy.
Yeah, it's trying to learn about itself. Now that's why it is important that when you become conscious, and then all of a sudden you say, I'm through with this mess. I'm getting out of it. I want to go back to being dead.
You can't do it.
You know what will happen? You can do it physically and psychologically. What's going to happen is your soul will start to whip your ass. So what your soul will do, it'll create all stuff around you to fail.
Amen.
And it'll put your life in turmoil until you get back on it, because your soul is trying to develop itself to ultimately become God and come out of the body and become glorified. And now you want to come and just be another handkerchief head, nigga. And you know, and your soul is not going to have it after you, so you can't. It's an impossibility for you to forget it. You see what I'm saying? And if you just double back, your soul will whip you behind. It'll create all the things around you to get you back on track.
I just want to say, I think when you do that, the ancestors won't let you go either. Certain ancestors that you may have evoked it or connected with or always been there, they won't let you go back.
Yeah, you would have that. You would have things like that too. It's just like when I was like I said, I walked away from the shoe deal. Already got. It wasn't like I was aspiring to be this thing. I had already got the shoe deal. I had already had the company. I had gonna fly to Italy 3 times a year to do the shoes and stuff. They had already Ebony set up and Essence set up. Them Jews said, we're gonna play that angle as the first black shoe designer. They was gonna play that angle while it was hot. See, when it's not a real big thing if it's so many people's done it before. But the first one is always good, and I was the first one. They already had they already had black fashion designers, Jeffrey Banks, Willie Ware,
Stephen Burrows.
Yeah, but the shoe thing in the late 80s, I was gonna be the first, so the Jews were gonna make money off me. So when you're the first, you're already in. So I had already made it. It was all set up. And so now the first level of death was consciousness. That happened at 20, I think it's 27 or 28. I think it's, let's see, what year did Jimi Hendrix die?
Hold that thought.
26, okay. And so what happened was, I died. The only thing I could do is just to study this information. And that's the first death. You died, the old consciousness died. And so, and then about a year later, I was sitting about 2 years later, I'm sitting in the house that made all the deals, and I didn't even get back in touch with the man. They had all the deals and all the stuff was laid out. You know, so I asked, why did I walk away from $1 million deal that was already set? It wasn't like I was, trying to get in the door. No, they were like, yo, we got you. And then they told me, I said, well, wait a minute, I need to ask you this question. How, I don't have no money, so how am I going to make it with no money? And he said, well, look, first of all, I need to know something right now. He said, I'm going to go upstairs, because what he told me, he said, when I flew up to New York in 88, he said, you need to go back. He said, I'd like to go back to Atlanta and get some black investors. Get some black investors. And so he said, you know, we're going to do that. So I flew back, and in 89, I lined up the black investors. So the first thing happened was with the black investors was, they was like, oh, that nigga lying, he don't know no Roger Bowman. One of the guys used to fly to the trade shows because he had a store and he used to buy from Roger Bowman. So they said, okay, we down with it. Because they didn't figure I was going to come through. You don't get niggas saying shit every day. So you say, okay, yeah, you know. So I called them up with him and two other black investors. I called them up on a three-way with Roger Bowman. Roger Bowman said, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm going to come down to Atlanta, we're going to have this meeting and all of this. So by the time of the meeting, he said one thing. He said, now, do you want me to come down to Atlanta, fly down and have the meeting 1 week with you and your boys, or I'm having a family reunion down in Atlanta the next week? He said, we Jews now. We don't even have no people down there. He said, but we like Atlanta, so we're going to have the family reunion. We're going to fly from New York, and we're going to have the family reunion down in Atlanta. Down in Atlanta. So what happened was, he said, when do you want me to come? And something the Spirit said, you better have him come on his family reunion. Came on his family reunion, and I knew something was funny that day. Now, we got millions of dollars and stuff that we gonna get ready to get into. And I asked the main guy who knew Roger Bowman, and who was one of the main guys in the fashion industry for about 20 years. I said, you need to come pick me up, because I was in my 20s. I was a college student. I didn't have no car or nothing. I said, you need to come pick me up. He started giving me this thing where, you know, now you're getting into the big times, you got to have responsibility to get your own transportation. Oh, wait a minute. I just lined you up with a deal, but it didn't register first. I just said, okay, don't worry, I'll get a ride. Don't worry about that. So we go out to the Peachtree perimeter. I'm sitting in the place, and none of the doggone investors show up. Oh, God. So he was planning on dishing, because what happened was, when I came through with it, it was bigger than what they were bullshit, and so they got scared. They didn't. So a lot of people, they're a big fish in a small pond, and then when something else comes, they will level it because they don't want to think that they might fail, you know. So they didn't show up. So Roger came down and said, don't worry about it, man. We're going to start the meeting. Now this man, I met this man twice at the time, up in the penthouse in New York, and in Atlanta. And every time I ever saw this man, he had a glass of liquor in his hand. And so we started going through the meeting. So I said, so how you going to do this, man? He said, look, this is simple. This is how it lay out. Then I learned the layout that Oprah and all the rest of them was on. Because I'm in the big time with the head Jews. He said, this is how it goes. We're going to give you some money. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to set up everything. And we're going to put the investors that I'm going to give you, they're going to make money off your name. And the people going to think it's your company. And they're going to invest in your company, and they're going to get all the money for 5 years. And you're going to get an expense account. An expense account. He said, and in that expense account, you know, we're going to set you up with the cars and the nice house and stuff that make people think that you got it. An illusion. Yeah. You see, that's what Oprah was on that. Until then, after so many years, her company went to Harpo after. But at first, you get on an expense account. You know, they say we're going to make it so that, you know, you're going to look like a designer. You're going to look like you live like. And they're going to make money for 5 years and get their money out. And then after 5 years, the company will go to you. So this is when Willie Smith dies. Remember Willie where? Yeah. All of a sudden, 5 years or something, he mysteriously died. Yeah. Patrick Kelly, 30-something, 29. He mysteriously died. So what they do, if the company is valuable, they kill your ass. But with me, for some reason, the guy, he liked me. So he said, no, I'm going to make sure that you get your company But the only thing about it with shoes and fashion, your shit might not even be in style 5 years from now.
True.
See what I'm saying? Then you get a company that's defunct.